You are coming to the latest information, the most notable events on the Nghe An Newspaper YouTube channel, the digital infrastructure of Nghe An Newspaper and radio and television. To know what the program is about today, we invite you to follow along right away.
On October 4, Lieutenant General Wood Rin, commander of Thailand's 2nd Army Region, said the meeting of the Thai-Cambodian Regional Border Committee may be postponed until mid-October as both sides continue to exchange proposals through their secretariats. According to General Guz, the Thai side has submitted initial proposals including troop withdrawal and mine clearance in areas where soldiers from both countries have faced off. However, these are still preliminary proposals and Cambodia has not yet responded. Meanwhile, although the Pham Bank proposals have not been formally presented, Mr. Chu said Bangkok has prepared its stance based on the results of the recent Sino-Chinese Border Committee meeting. Accordingly, the meeting stressed the importance of implementing agreements, especially on mine clearance and the removal of heavy weapons from the disputed area. On the issue of the bin bombardment, General Wood explained that Thailand had to be careful in identifying areas, especially those that had been newly planted with bin bombs in recent clashes. According to him, the areas that could be newly planted with bin bombs extend from the inside of Ubon Ratani province to Tamuan Temple in Surin province, a total length of about 363 kilometers along the disputed border. However, Cambodia has always denied allegations that its forces have recently planted more bombs in the disputed area with Thailand. The Hobin section previously commented on the above information, but Key's newspaper reported on the same day that the Cambodian military had received a request from the Thai side to develop and share a plan to evacuate civilians by October 7 in preparation for the RBC meeting scheduled in Bont province to play Cambodia later. October 4, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russian drones of hitting a train station in the Sumy region, injuring at least 30 people. He said Russia had carried out a UAV attack on a train station in the city of Saska in the Sumy region. Russian forces could not have been unaware that they were attacking civilians. In addition, the Ukrainian leader also called on the world not to speak out against such actions. Mr. Zelensky was showing a video showing a locomotive fitted with anti-UAV nets and a damaged and burning train car. Behind it are freight cars. A passenger train on a nearby track also had its windows broken and was hit by shrapnel. Mr. Zelensky said at least 30 people were injured. Preliminary data show that railway staff and passengers were present at the scene of the attack. The incident took place about 50 kilometers from the Russian border. Governor Sumio Harihorop said the Russian UAV hit a train that was traveling from Jaska to the capital Kiev. He added that medical and rescue workers were at the scene. The Russian military news site Rusvedna said the target of the attack was a train carrying soldiers and goods of the Ukrainian army. The news site said Ukrainian intelligence accused Russia of attacking a passenger train, but the images of the scene they released so far showed it was a freight train. The incident came days after Russian media released a video of what they said was a Gon-2 suicide drone attacking a train carrying military equipment and fuel of the Ukrainian army near the city of Bobriviza in Kali-Hip province, about 160 kilometers from the border. In the video, the Russian suicide aircraft equipped with thermal imaging sensors follows the moving Ukrainian train, then targets the locomotive to force it to stop. The Russian military then deployed more UAVs to attack. They also avoided the searchlights of Ukrainian helicopters on lookout missions. Railways are an important part of the logistics network of both sides, with Ukraine heavily dependent on rail for international transport when airports are closed due to fighting. Moscow and Kiev have repeatedly attacked each other's rail systems since the start of the campaign. Ukrainian officials say Russia has recently launched a campaign of attacks on trains deep behind enemy lines. They admit that this activity has caused panic and economic damage as well as disrupted the logistics of the Ukrainian army. The head of the Ukrainian railway company, Alexander Povsky, said Russia has intensified attacks on the country's railway network since the beginning of the summer, causing dozens of stations to be damaged by UAVs.
On October 4, the JKF Independent newspaper quoted the Ukrainian General Staff as saying that on the same day, the country's drones attacked the Kyrgyz oil refinery in the Leningrad region of the Russian Federation, causing a fire that was later extinguished. Witnesses said they saw flames erupt at the Kyrgyz oil refinery. Regional Governor Alexander Rozenko confirmed the drone attack and the fire, but did not specify the facility attacked, only that the fire had been extinguished. In a post on his Telegram channel, the Rosenko wrote that air defense forces shot down 7 drones in the sky over Kyrgyzstan. The fire in the industrial area has been extinguished. Video and images released by an independent Russian news channel appeared to show a large explosion and flames rising from the Kyrgyzstan oil refinery. The attack was later confirmed by the Ukrainian General Staff in a post on social media. The KDC refinery, located more than 800 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, is one of Russia's largest, having only been put into operation in 2017 and accounting for 6.6% of the country's total refining capacity. The facility has been targeted at least 3 times before, in September and May this year, and before that in May 2024. The Ukrainian military claimed responsibility for the attacks on the Kyrgyzstan refinery in September and May 2025 but has not commented on the latest attack. Just a day earlier, the SBU newspaper reported that drones had attacked an oil refinery in the city of Oskar in the Orenburg region. A source in Ukraine's SBU security service told the SBU newspaper that the attack was carried out by drones from the Alpha Special Forces unit. The source said the FBU continued to inflict serious damage on the Russian federal economy by targeting oil and gas facilities. The cut in oil revenues directly impacts Kremlin's ability to finance the conflict. Nearly 40% of the Russian federal oil refining capacity is currently offline, and we will continue to work to increase that number. The Oskar refinery is one of the largest in the Orenburg region of the Russian Federation, processing up to 6.6 million tons of crude oil a year and producing around 30 types of fuel and lubricants including gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, heating oil, and asphalt. Reports say the attack forced the plant to be evacuated while Oskar city officials urged residents not to panic. Oskar is located about 1,500 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Telegram monitoring channel SC Lenova also reported that multiple LUT drones were used in the attack. On the same day, October 3, according to ZIF Independent, Ukrainian drones attacked a chemical plant in the Russian Federation PMC, temporarily disrupting production at one of the country's largest nitrogen fertilizer producers. The facility also supplies chemicals used in explosives. According to ZIF Independent, Ukrainian forces have intensified attacks on the Russian oil industry and other parts of the Russian Federation's military-industrial complex over the past year, disrupting operations and exacerbating fuel shortages across the country. Ukraine considers Russian Federation oil refineries to be legitimate military targets because they provide funding and fuel for Moscow's war effort.
In a notable move, Energy Secretary Chris Kry has warned of the potential consequences of a partial government shutdown, including the impact on the country's nuclear arsenal. The CR secretary said the partial shutdown could threaten the safety of the nation's nuclear arsenal, with funding running out in about a week. He said we're only about 8 days away from running out of funding for the National Nuclear Security Administration, and NSA, which oversees our nuclear arsenal, the engines that power our nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers. 8 days away, though, and we'll have to move into an emergency shutdown that puts the country at risk. The U.S. federal government has partially shut down for the first time in nearly 7 years after Republicans and Democrats failed to reach an agreement on a spending bill in the Senate. Both sides have blamed the other for the impasse. The Energy Secretary said more than 20 of his department's staff still need Senate confirmation and accused Democrats of dragging out the process, delaying key appointments and prolonging the government shutdown. I think the Democrats have been in a state of crisis since the Trump administration began, Cho said. I think the best word to describe them is obstruction. A contingency plan released by the Department of Energy, DOE, said that in weapons programs, personnel allowed to continue working would oversee key activities involving nuclear materials or maintain specialized equipment. About 60% of DOE employees have been furloughed, according to an analysis of the department's contingency plan. Trump administration officials criticized Democrats for blocking a stopgap spending bill that would keep the government open until November 21. But Democratic leaders pushed to extend the Affordable Care Act, ACA, health insurance subsidies and reverse Medicare budget cuts before agreeing to a compromise with Republicans. In a video with Senator Bernie Sanders explaining the vote against the stopgap spending bill, Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that people across the country will start receiving notices that their health insurance premiums will double on October 1 and throughout the month. In the video, Sanders cited studies from Johns University and the University of Pennsylvania that show that 50,000 low-income and working-class Americans will be at risk from the Medicare cuts and ACA cuts. However, he stressed in the interview that the processes that operate under a partially dysfunctional government make federal agencies extremely inefficient. He said this is unreasonable when the temporary spending bill has passed the Senate with a majority of the party. However, according to the rules, Republicans still need votes from Democrats to reach the necessary number to pass the bill.